Mission Vasudhaiva. Ancient India believes in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, consisting of whole world. The India-led G20 theme, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future, could not be more crucial during a time of global rifts and fissures that are bearing political and economic consequences. The G20 group of 20 is a forum of the world's major developed and developing economies, accounting for 85% of the global GDP, 75% of the international trade, and about 67% of the world population. Its presidency rotates among its members every year, with the predecessor and a successor, along with the incumbent, forming the Troika, ensuring continuity of the G20 agenda of fomenting global economic cooperation. India assumed the G20 presidency for the first time. In fact, this will be the first time when the Troika, Indonesia, India, and Brazil will all comprise developing economies. Every G20 president country is expected to come up with its policy formulations. Indonesia's agenda last year, for the current year 2022, was highlighted the health architecture, digital transformation, and substantial energy transition. Even as India ensures continuity of it must depart from the trend of formulating non-specific agendas and put its own development objectives on the table. India has a special responsibility to provide a greater voice to emerging economies. While India's own economy is a rare bright spot in these turbulent times, its success as G20 president will be defined by how it addresses divergent views on contentious issues, as well as the new ideas it brings to the table. As the war drags on, India is in a unique position in terms of its credibility and access to both sides. It must push for a softening of entrenched positions. Today's era must not be of war in the G20 Bali leaders. Declaration that was released on Wednesday India will likely to take the lead in any mediation efforts when the moment is opportune. India will have to balance the disproportionate interests of energy producers and energy consumers, besides seeing that the world's poor are not denied food. Fertilizer shortage today, owing to Western sanctions, the biggest exporter of fertilizers is in a food crisis for tomorrow. Today's digital transformation and transition to green energy are key priorities in this respect and beyond. India has demonstrated its leadership in digitalization over the past few years, particularly in terms of creating digital infrastructure and intervention at scale that enabled it to leapfrog typical constraints which held back progress. Reducing inequalities through the adoption of technology has been a vital cooperation among G20 members, which is essential for this to extend to all developing economies. A transition to clean energy has become more urgent even as the necessary for energy security has slowed the shift from fossil fuels to some extent. Green energy is not simply a moral obligation, but a means of sustainable and accelerated growth. Renewable energy in India is growing faster than other major economies, with new capacity additions on the way, being the third largest emerging consumer in the world. On the Country Attractive Index 2021, India has the opportunity to become a global leader. In fact, it is the only G20 country on track to achieve the targets. India has to have a focused vision and not dilute its impact through too expensive an agenda. Priorities will resolve around women's empowerment, health, energy, agriculture, food security, and other multilateral reforms while giving importance to developing countries in diverse factors. Inequalities widened with health, nutrition, and livelihood being shaken in developing economies alike. Post pandemic developments continue to put pressure on these basic necessities. While its task is out while its task cut out, India comes from a position of strength given the compassionate approach it has taken to support its own people at the bottom of the pyramid while pushing ahead with reforms. As the world recovers and transitions to a post pandemic world, the recovery path is neither symmetric nor bereft of challenges. There is actually a need for greater international cooperation. India, accounting for the fifth of humanity, is a key constituent of any global initiative. The G20 presidency may only be for 1 year, but India has both the opportunity and the means to make a long lasting impact.